The year is 1980, West Texas. A hunter stumbles onto a drug deal gone wrong and $2 million in cash. What follows is one of the most stripped-down and terrifying chase films ever made. No Country for Old Men won 4 Academy Awards in 2007, and the guns in this movie are a huge reason why it feels so real and so disturbing. This video examines firearms strictly as historical movie props and within a film analysis context. It is not about real-world use, tactics, or instruction. This film treats firearms the way a coroner treats a body: clinical, cold, final. There is no slow motion. There is no dramatic music when the trigger gets pulled, just the sound, the damage, and the silence that follows. The Coen Brothers made a movie where guns are not cool. They are simply tools, and in the hands of certain characters, they become instruments of fate itself. Every weapon in this film tells you something about the person holding it, and today we are going through all of them. Let us start with the weapon that defines this entire movie, the captive bolt pistol carried by Anton Chigurh. This is not a gun in the traditional sense. It does not fire bullets. It was invented in 1903 by a German named Hugo Heiss, and its original purpose was to stun cattle in slaughterhouses before they were killed. The device uses compressed air to shoot a steel bolt forward into the skull. The bolt then retracts back into the barrel. No projectile leaves the weapon. No casing is left behind. No ballistic evidence whatsoever. Chigurh uses this tool to kill people with the same detachment a butcher uses to process livestock. That is the entire point. When he places the barrel against a victim's forehead and pulls the trigger, he is reducing a human being to meat. The Coens chose this weapon very deliberately because it strips away everything personal about killing. There is no anger. There is no emotion. Just a mechanical action followed by death. In the real world, captive bolt pistols are still used in meatpacking plants today. The United States Department of Agriculture has specific guidelines for their use. They are designed to render an animal unconscious instantly, which is considered more humane than other methods. Chigurh takes a tool meant for mercy and turns it into something horrifying. The genius of this choice is that the weapon itself is silent and leaves almost no trace, perfect for someone who moves through the world like a ghost. Javier Bardem, the actor who plays Chigurh, had never fired a gun before this film. He reportedly hates violence and does not even drive a car, but he trained to handle all of his weapons with complete control, and the captive bolt pistol became his signature. He won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor, and that strange metal cylinder pressed against victims throughout the film became one of the most memorable images in modern cinema. Now, let us talk about shotguns, because they deliver the most visceral violence in this movie. Chigurh carries a modified Remington 1187 fitted with a custom suppressor. This is a 12-gauge semi-automatic shotgun, and in the film it appears almost whisper quiet. He uses it in multiple scenes, including the brutal motel shootouts where he kills cartel members without alerting anyone nearby. Here's where the film takes some creative liberty. Real shotgun suppressors exist, but they do not work nearly as well as this movie suggests. A suppressor on a shotgun can reduce noise by maybe 20 to 30 decibels. That is significant, but it is nowhere close to the near-silent operation shown on screen. You would still hear a loud boom. The film shows muzzle flash coming from the barrel even with the suppressor attached, which is actually accurate. Suppressors reduce sound, but do not eliminate the flash of burning powder. The prop itself was built by Independent Studio Services, a Hollywood armory that supplies weapons to film productions. They created an oversized stainless steel suppressor that looks intimidating on camera. It is not functional in real life. The whole setup is meant to make Chigurh seem even more dangerous, like he can kill anywhere without anyone knowing until it is too late. There is also an important detail about the Remington 1187 that gun enthusiasts caught immediately. The film is set in 1980, but this shotgun model was not introduced until 1987. That is a 7-year difference. A period-accurate choice would have been the Remington 1100, which came out in 1963 and looks nearly identical. The Coens likely used the 1187 because it was more readily available for filming. Most viewers never notice, but this is the kind of detail that firearm experts pick up on. Llewelyn, the hunter who takes the money and becomes Chigurh's prey, uses a very different shotgun. His is a Winchester Model 1897, a pump-action 12-gauge that he purchases and then modifies himself. We actually see him saw off the barrel and cut down the stock on screen. He files the metal to remove burrs, wraps the shortened stock with tape, and attaches a makeshift sling. This transformation takes a legal sporting gun and turns it into something compact and brutal. The Winchester 1897 is absolutely period accurate. It was designed by John Browning and introduced in, you guessed it, 1897. This shotgun served in both World Wars and has a unique feature called slam fire. If you hold down the trigger, the gun will fire every time you rack the pump. Moss loads his with double-aught buckshot, the same ammunition used by police and military. Each shell contains 9 pellets, roughly the size of a 9mm bullet. One scene shows Moss wounding Chigurh with this shotgun during a motel confrontation. The film depicts the buckshot spreading into a wide pattern at relatively close range. In reality, double-aught buckshot holds a much tighter group than movies typically show. At 10 yards, you might see a spread of 4 to 6 inches depending on the barrel. The film exaggerates this for dramatic effect, making it look like the pellets scatter across a much wider area. For handguns, Moss scavenges a Colt government model from the drug deal scene. This is a nickel-plated M11911A1, chambered in .45 automatic. The 1911 has been in service with the American military since World War I, and it would be completely appropriate for a Vietnam veteran like Moss to be familiar with this weapon. We see him clear, the gun properly on screen, removing the magazine, checking the chamber, and inspecting the mechanism before trusting his life to it. Later in the film, this pistol gets wet during a river crossing. Moss tries to fire it and it fails. He blows into the barrel, which is actually unnecessary in real life. Modern firearms can usually function after brief water exposure, but the scene builds tension and it shows Moss as resourceful and knowledgeable about weapons, even if the specific action is more dramatic than practical. Sheriff Ed Tom Bell carries a Colt Series 70 combat government model, also a .45. This handgun was introduced in 1970, so it fits the 1980 setting perfectly. What makes this choice significant is that Bell never fires his weapon in the entire film, not once. He draws it during investigations, he holds it while searching crime scenes, but he never pulls the trigger. This is intentional. Bell represents an older generation of lawmen who feels completely outmatched by the violence he is witnessing. His unfired gun becomes a symbol of powerlessness. Deputy Wendell uses a Smith & Wesson Model 10, a revolver chambered in .38 Special with a 4-inch barrel. This is one of the most common police revolvers in American history. Millions were produced, and they were standard issue for departments across the country before semi-automatic pistols became the norm in the 1980s and 1990s. Seeing a Texas deputy carry this wheel gun in 1980 is completely accurate. Chigurh also carries a Glock 19 in one scene, using it to execute truck occupants. This is another anachronism. The Glock 19 was not produced until 1988, 8 years after the film takes place. There is a moment where Chigurh racks the slide for dramatic effect, which looks intimidating but serves no practical purpose if the gun is already loaded and ready to fire. The submachine guns scattered throughout the drug deal scene paint a picture of cartel warfare. You can spot Ingram MAC-10s lying next to dead bodies, their compact frames and high rate of fire making them favorites among criminals. There are also Uzi, submachine guns, and Cobra M11s visible in the carnage. Moss picks up a Heckler & Koch SP-89 from the scene, which substitutes for the MP5K mentioned in the original novel. The SP-89 is actually anachronistic as well, having been introduced in 1989. Chigurh uses a suppressed Intratec Tech 9 during the chase sequences. This weapon became infamous in American crime during the 1980s and 1990s because it was cheap, had high-capacity magazines, and looked intimidating. The film shows it with a suppressor attached, though real-world suppression on a fully automatic weapon creates serious heat buildup and is far less effective than the film portrays. For rifles, Moss uses a Remington 700 VLS for pronghorn hunting in the opening scenes. We watch him adjust his scope, take the shot, and collect his brass casing afterward. The rifle appears to be chambered in either .308 or .223, both common hunting calibers. This specific variant with its laminated stock is technically anachronistic, as the VLS model came out in 1995. The novel describes a much more elaborate custom rifle, a heavy-barreled .270 on a 1898 Mauser action with a uninertal scope. That setup would have been period perfect and speaks to McCarthy's attention to detail in the source material. The assault rifles visible at the drug deal are mostly Chinese Type 56 variants, which are copies of the Soviet AK-47. These show up with both fixed and folding stocks. In 1980, Chinese AK variants were flooding into Mexico through various illicit channels, and their presence in a border drug deal is historically accurate. These rifles fire 7.62 by 39mm ammunition and became symbols of cartel violence throughout the 1980s. What makes No Country for Old Men special is not the variety of its weapons, but how they are presented. There is no fetishization here, no loving close-ups of polished metal, no characters making clever remarks after killing someone. The violence is quick and ugly and leaves bodies on the ground without ceremony. The sound design strips away the movie magic that usually makes gunfights exciting. You hear the blast, the impact, and then nothing but ambient noise. The Coens worked closely with armorers to ensure that the handling looked authentic even when the specific models were not period accurate. Actors trained to clear weapons properly, to move with them naturally, and to react to recoil realistically. This attention to physical performance grounds the film in a way that pure technical accuracy never could. Every firearm choice connects to character. Chigurh uses weapons that are strange, clinical, and difficult to trace. Moss uses whatever he can get his hands on, adapting and improvising like the soldier he once was. Bell carries a traditional American pistol and never uses it, representing values that no longer protect anyone. The guns tell you who these men are and what kind of world they live in. No Country for Old Men changed how many filmmakers approach violence on screen. It proved that less can be more, that silence is scarier than explosions, and that showing the real consequences of bullets hitting bodies is more disturbing than any stylized action sequence. The weapons in this film are not characters themselves. They are simply objects that reveal the darkness in the characters who carry them.